Well, I can everyone's to turn off. So I like that right in the trouble. Really? So you know it. Like, I'm not wasting any time. I'm out here. Space on there. Oh,
I'm Joe has a son. He's in your closet. You can come, but he'd be late to keep that up. Across community theater.
Right by the chair. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
You know, I don't know that, she's. Christmas bake offs.
Yeah.
Pretty much it. I don't know. I know what. You don't know what. I can mix and mingle. I don't know. No, can we join your table?
Please.
Great. Peter. I mean, I just met it, but I don't. Hi, nice to meet you. You're from here. Is that your company or is that a company support? I'm here. Nice to meet you. I was thinking I work for them, but you know, I just put my first name. I didn't put my last name. Have you been in the club company?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Just to maintain it, not only to put it together, but also to feed it, or is there? This is building it. And then you're letting people that are taking care of the crop, they have.
You're welcome.
Sure. That's for how many viewers? And then this is your regular meeting.
If you have too many people, right? And they just want to.
Okay, yep, we have that on my calendar.
No, that's there one.
Who can drink the most punch? That would not be me. Bree and I would do. So there's different rotaries. That is, yeah, you bring a different rotary. Yes, well, because you had said to me, you want to. Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to. But if you have you want a morning, meeting, a whole minute from the bus, you know what I mean? Downtown on Tuesdays. There's other, I think there's other news. 7:30 on Wednesday, to that YMCA, remember?
Seven club.
So what is, so tell me about the, you know, when I think it's further, you know, obviously, what we like. Tell me about. What is the benefit of finding out? I've been in many now. Sure. But kind of not that maybe that's what it is. You do good things.
It's a service club.
Got it.
And provide service to your own community, but also it's the largest. There are clubs that have these countries. So you're also part of things that like we've done, our club has done. So we help buy a lot. Water wells and what.
Or is it just out of routine?
Well, it's fundraising, so, and then, so there's an international, and there's a local, Rotary works. So let's say we, there is a part of you know, when it happens is that we can do this in combination with other clubs, and then it's like the bus that we raised $40,000, and then the district doubles it to $80,000, and then the international doubles it to $100,000. So you can start to leverage money by being part of this business. Then we always sponsor, so we like come in. And she's a member of our club, she's a member of most of the meetings in this game. But we also sponsor it up. I keep telling my friends, these students, we get folks to come in families, thanks.
And then take them on vacation.
They take them on vacation. Generally, you know, they go to school after. One of our club members, he lived with 3 different Japanese.
He probably didn't learn something.
He came back and speaking.
But he was.
And the thing that always impresses me is the students come to our club before they're looking down, great spirit, right? You know, they come back. And they're like young adults. They're confident. They're very. It's some that exchange is to like hundreds of people every these countries. And then like when they're like our students, like a couple times a year, all of the foreign students together from our district, 20 to 30 years. So they spend the weekend with all these high school students from all these different countries. Then they have programs and social things and stuff.
That's awesome.
What kind of has the fundraising baby artists, projects are brought by the members. Like, we got the yeah.
Better service.
Service. That was our from the members. You know, fundraisers.
I know all the fundraisers, I really not.
I would say you could say.
We used to.
Right.
For the court.
Yeah, grab some people.
So
I don't probably remember.
a district would say we would like to change. And that would mean that. So like I went to. And.
Bring it up.
I know, it's last piece part.
I like.
Around that. Started. And.
Going over the course.
Hosted by a Robin. And. Like around. Yeah, the only thing you pay for is your transportation. And the transportation means that. And like we, it's part of the, we played the deficit. I talked about like one of the areas was professional license. So we met her on the site. All of our tickets are paid for, and then the whole deficit area. And as kind of behind the scenes. I mean, it's, you know, and then at night you're staying. So you give up a couple things, you have no say.
No control over this.
The Rotary Club in that area has complete, they arrange everything, where you sleep and everything, they feed you. Next year, and so I would say it's such a fun book now, and then in return, people from that district come to your district and then you post them. So,
And you, I'm sure you want to show them all the good things about it. So it's very hard.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be around.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't.
you know, I wouldn't say it's like something you would want to do on every vacation you had, but it's particularly, like the country money. I've seen it, but you can't see.
I bet. You just.
Well, I don't know how it initially gets, but like there is all the areas, I think. So the district will say, oh, we are basically looking. And then, you know, it's, like when we went, most of us, like, we just moved in Istanbul and then, but then on the way home, got to Istanbul and it's got 3 extra days there.
Okay, so you're looking at, when you say.
I don't think so, that's, but.
I'm gonna steal this spot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's worried.
No, because no one's gonna sit by this thing, but I will.
Which is.
Well, I wanna eat first. Wanna eat, we're gonna. Time. Time. Can't wait till next week. Time. I just sit here and do nothing. Just feel like I'm like my job is when I have a new job and I'm like so busy and I'm like, how am I gonna do all? Like, I was thinking I have nothing going on. I'm literally just gonna sit in my house and do nothing. Cause every night I something and I'm like, I can't sleep because I wake up and I'm like, I have all this to do and it's really nothing that big, but you know, it works, girl. All right. John's gonna there. Perfect. Thanks for there. Perfect.
Oh, yeah. We're very. Be well here then. Yes.
You're gonna hold you. I mean, I would hold my. Bring you.
Feel better.
Yeah, if you're only, if you go, you have some obligations, it's not necessarily. Socializing.
This is.
You wanna go get on? Yeah, or beverage. Yeah, like, I think all of it. Like I said, like I am. I know it's kind of dull. I had it for a long time. It was just talking about it. Like right now, it's saying something.
It's very possible. Very not. Before that.
Music Lofty. I wanted to sign in under mine. Huh? I am as Marissa? Okay, let me in again. No. Did it say today? Now it's working.
A little bit different than I said, I didn't know if I could make it way early. Well, like, I'm paying, unless I show. One of them. You can do it. Same to you. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? It was a. Well, overall event, you know. Good game. It's in your word. It's in your word. It almost.
Oh, I just think I was just gonna go get my lunch.
Oh, gosh, what time?
Yeah. Yeah, but I do need to make my way.
Well.
This place is full. Starting with the team. There was like, there was. Other.
It's a strange thing with having ours on Saturday night with the silver. Yeah, I know. I'll take you there sometime. Mercy, good. You good? Sounds like stuff.
Hi, everyone. Look at this cool microphone I have. So, we are gonna start our meeting because we have lots to do tonight. So hopefully you're here for the magic of lacrosse with Jen Barney. And we're really glad that you could come and we can't wait to hear your story. So first, couple business things. We do record our meetings on Zoom. So if you can't make it, share this link and you can share all about Jen. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we're gonna welcome our visitors and guests. Alicia.
Today from visiting Rotarians, we have Bud Hammond. And then we have Angela.
Sure, Wednesday.
Yeah. And then yes, we have Terry, Alex, Amanda, and Susan. Susan's back. Woo!
Awesome.
But yeah.
And do we have any virtual guests?
Angie S.
Angie S. Just her? All right, cool. So we're gonna make the announcements. There's just a few of you. Just come up and be by the owl and use this cool microphone. Celebrating January birthdays. Last meeting we did our birthday party night, but here are our January birthdays. So happy birthday to all of those members. And Rotary anniversaries. We had Bill and Meg. Oh, now we're gonna do our Rotary After Hours Member of the Month, which is my favorite thing. And these are the things you get to tell me about, but I'm gonna have Jen use my little magic hat and pick the winner.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so we have Jeremy Moritz, who has been a founding member for the whole time, so we will get to hear about him. All right, announcements. Is Gear Up here? Do they come? No. So Gear Up is our Shark Tank winner from this past year, and they're doing a Scholar Sips card sale. So for $30, you can purchase this card and then go all around La Crosse and get coffee for free, but you're gonna use your $30 towards their program to help low-income incoming college students. So take advantage of that. I'm making a plug for TriCon. It's in April. I think Jason and Alicia told you about it when you came in. It's a really good time just to learn all about Rotary and be with 3 different districts, so there'll be more information. You're also probably getting emails about it too, so check that out. And now our committee is Jenny.
Okay, so this Saturday we have the Westby ski jump. I don't know how far we hold this.
I don't know, I hope it will.
I think it's primarily gonna be helping with parking, from 10 to 8 on Saturday, the first. If you volunteer, you get a free admission to the event for both Friday and Saturday. It just said you'll be done before a lot of the jumps have gone on Saturday, so there's still be plenty to watch on Saturday. I have a sign up sheet if you're interested to sign up, and I will make sure that she's got your name and that it's in the thing. Is that all I do?
Yep,
Oh,
that one.
okay, coming up April 5th, we have iFeed. It was rescheduled from like last fall, but, so I will get that put up in Club Runner in a bit. Or do you have stuff to say about it? Like, I've never done it, so I don't know anything about it.
Let's switch to.
How many of you have participated in iFeed? All right. Pretty good. Okay, so our local Interact clubs, which is our high school equivalent of Rotary, our future leaders in our community, this is their big event for the year. And it's 2-part. One is a massive community food drive. And all donations, non-perishable food donations and monetary donations go to Hunger Task Force, which then supply our area food pantries. The second part is a meal packing event, and it's at Logan High School. It's really, really amazing to see all of the high schools come together. They're usually rivals on the basketball court, on the football field, and they come together as one and just want to feed the hungry. The meals we pack are gonna go to kids in either South America or Africa, and they're fed at schools so that they can stay in school and get an education. My ask of you is, we are gonna have a packing team, so sign up for that when we have more information on the sign up. 2, if you have a company that you work for, a business that would be willing to sponsor, we have different sponsorship levels and I can send that to you. But 3, think about also doing a food drive in your workplace, in your church, in your wherever you are, because all of that goes towards Hunger Task Force and feeding our local communities. The week leading up to iFeed, we are gonna be at, there's gonna be a bin at Festival Foods where you can make donations there. And then the day of, we'll also be at Woodman's in addition to Festival for those food donations. So if you want sponsorship information, please come talk to me. I can send it to you. And just think about doing a food drive wherever it may be.
Power on. Oh. I pressed the button again and then it came back on the top.
Need the microphone here.
Stop talking.
We turned it today. The other thing that we don't have a slide for is we have, in February, I believe it's the 24th, Monday's meals. So speaking of the Hunger Task Force and feeding people. So that I will get signed up probably, it's set up in Club Runner and probably the next week. So that we can sign up for that.
Yeah, and everything will be updated this weekend for all the February events. I didn't want to overload your Facebook, so. Oh, back to Marissa. Just come up here.
All right, I'm really tired of having all this stuff in my trunk, so we're having a clear out sale. I have hats for $10 if anybody wants a hat. I also have these really nice women's jackets. They're lined and they have a detachable hood. If you buy a red jacket, they're Rotary branded, not Rotary After Hours. The $50 that you use to purchase it will go towards our Polio Plus. I have one medium hoodie like this available, and then Ashley has several-ish ugly sweater shirts, long sleeve shirts from this past year. So if you want any of this, first come, first served, see us after the meeting.
Okay, good. Membership, but I'll do it for Neil, because he's gonna eat over there. All right, so, Nathan can't be here, but, we're doing the We All Rock. So if you go in the little bags, there's little white cards with pens. And we want you to fill out a note, that shows appreciation, praise, recognizing a member, recognizing yourself. Like, we want to hear about what you're doing. So here are this month's little kudos. Jason Jones, thanks for being part of our Christmas party, and we're really lucky to have you on the RAH board as our newest director. Thanks, Jason, for diving into Rotary and being helpful. And then a shout out to Marissa for always helping plan iFeed and Shark Tank. Your attention to detail doesn't go unnoticed. And last, Spencer for a successful snowball event. So you can fill out those cards and put them in my magic hat. That'd be great and would really make Nathan happy. Youth committee update. Ashley? Cool.
I don't know that I have much of an update, but Ryla, okay, Ryla is a weekend, sorry, a weekend, where I feel like someone else should be doing this, not me. Ryla is for high school students. It is a leadership program for high school students. I think it's sophomores and juniors. Okay. Down near the Dells, it's May 9th through 11th, and they are looking for counselors and such. So if that interests you, let me know and I can get you more information. We're also looking for students to go to this. We sponsor two or three. And so they can register. We can get the form and stuff like that if you know anyone interested. So thank you.
Good. All right, back to Marissa. Shark Tank. I know. Just stay up here.
That's it. All right, Shark Tank time, you guys. We got a month and it's crunch time. Sorry, I'm like, Shark Tank was created in 2020. Some of you have heard this last meeting, but for you that weren't here, I'm gonna do a quick recap. We worked really, really hard in our Ugly Sweater 5K to raise money, and this is where we get to decide where we're gonna put it and have our signature project for the next year. So it encourages creativity, collaboration amongst club members, but also within our community with nonprofits. We are guaranteed up to $5,000 from Rotary After Hours, from our funds from Ugly Sweater. And then we apply for a district grant, which would give us another $5,000 if we get awarded that grant. So up to $10,000 project. Some past projects.
Sorry.
Slow down from memo.
Sorry.
We purchased a van for the Good Fight. We built beds for kids with Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We built a greenhouse for Northside Elementary School. We bought supplies for Gear Up and first generational college kids. It really does amazing things. So here's your opportunity to go out and find something something that you're passionate about to bring forth to the club that we can really focus on this next year. So it has to involve Rotary involvement. And this is really one of our best meetings of the year. So put it on your calendar, February 25th, and make sure you're there. But it has to have Rotarian involvement. It has to be in partnership with the receiving community. Should fit into one of Rotary's 7 areas of focus. We don't know what those are. They're on the Rotary website. It can't pay for salaries and operational costs. And the grant has to be submitted by May 15th. Don't let that scare you. I will help you. Foundation Committee will help you. The project must be completed within the 2025-26 Rotary year. So starting probably around September and ending May 15th. The final paperwork has to go in. So think about what's your passion, right? Like, are you passionate about children and Children's Miracle Network? Are you passionate about domestic abuse or the outdoors or addictions? There's so many needs in our community. Think about what nonprofits those nonprofits serve. I sent out an email last week with a whole list from the La Crosse Community Foundation with all of the nonprofits in the area. It's a really good starting point. Talk amongst your tables and see what is interesting to you. I think there's 2 projects maybe I've heard of so far. Rachel and Alyssa. You can talk to them and see if maybe they've been open to adding more people. Brandon and Dustin might be doing a project. So start to think and have conversations even within the room here. If you're lost, reach out to me. I am happy to be a conduit to you and whatever resource you need in the community. Just a quick overview. You have 10 minutes to pitch. That might change depending on how many projects we have. That includes then there's a 5-minute Q&A, which you Rotarians in this room, Rotarians have to pitch the actual project, but you can have the nonprofit people come for the Q&A part. Videos in your pitch cannot be longer than 2 minutes total combined. That's new this year. They have to include how we as a club will be involved. An estimated budget and expenses and an estimated timeline. So these don't have to be fully baked projects, but you have to have the general idea. How Rotary will be acknowledged, and one more time, how we as club members will be able to participate. Any questions? The more projects we have, the better. So it's also an opportunity to practice your presentation style in front of a very, very low stakes audience. It's fun, promise. I'm happy to help. There's PowerPoints from last year in there for examples. There's any resources you need, please holler. Happy to help do whatever I can to get as many projects as we can get. Questions, comments? Nope, good, all right.
Okay, so our Pints portfolio is really only in 2 months, which Spencer better get on our trivia. So this year, Pints portfolio is gonna be at the Pearl Street Brewery. We haven't done it since the COVID year where we all delivered beer at your house and then did it on a live stream. So this time, we're gonna do the tour in person. We're actually gonna have trivia with Spencer. And you also get a pint of beer included and to keep the glass. I'm working on getting our fabulous friend Tom Conrad to play, and it'll be on a Friday night, so there's no reason you can't come. So put it on your calendar. And then now finally our main speaker. So the theme this year has been the magic of Rotary, and I've kind of turned it into the magic of lacrosse and exploring things in our area. And this also has to do with people that really give back to the community. So with that, Jen Barney, you're ready.
Obvious.
Yeah.
Going to set a stopwatch.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. I really, really appreciate it. I'm a part of Downtown Rotary. I know the importance of it, and I'm just grateful that you're having me, and also that you care enough to hear about my story. My story is a little bit interesting, and I feel like my life has been split into 2 different versions, before 2017 and after 2017. And that year of my life was an extraordinary year. I was on a I was on a Food Network show, and it changed the trajectory of my life and it definitely changed my self-confidence and I think I have a belief in myself that I didn't even know existed before that show. And it kind of makes me sad when I think about it because how sad would my life have been if I'd never had the confidence? And why did I need a show to give me confidence? That was gonna be silly to think like that. To know who I am now, I think you have to know who I started out as. So my life started in a small town in Stanley, Wisconsin. So my family are all farmers. Oh, and you know what? I'm gonna pause for 1 second. I have these little books, they're big books. And they were just something that I put together recently for a bridal show, but it would be kind of fun for you to see my work. And I've got 2 of them, so if you want to page through them and pass them around as I'm talking, that would be awesome. Stanley, Wisconsin. I am the youngest of 6 children, so huge family. We were all farmers. And my parents had a hobby farm that we raised beef cattle on, and it was on an acre plot of land on my grandparents' farmland. So I could literally walk through cornfields to get to my grandparents every day, which is pretty fantastic. If you look, there's a picture of me in the middle with my sister on a little baby tractor. There's a woods in the background. I could take a 4-wheeler as an 8-year-old to that woods and with my dolls and have a picnic in the woods. So it's a very idyllic, fun childhood. There's a picture of a boy named Lloyd in the upper left-hand corner. Lloyd was the seed for my family and how we live our lives. So Lloyd was the next door neighbor boy. His parents were hardworking farmers, of course, we all were. And Lloyd was born where he had severe brain damage. So he was nonverbal, had no ability to walk around and have movement. But he did respond when you talked to him. He loved to be touched. He loved to be read to. He had this coo that he would do. And as a little girl, he was the love of my life. I just love Lloyd. I would read him books. And my mom, to help out the neighbor, she became certified as a respite provider to help them. And that spawned this, like my parents ended up becoming foster parents. And over the years, they specialized in kids with special needs. So at any given time, we had multiple children in our household with wheelchairs or with family lives that were horrible and there was a developmental need, or it didn't matter what it was. My parents were there to help and serve. And that's the environment that I grew up in. And it very much impacted myself. A lot of my family members have gone on to be foster parents and adopt kids with special needs. And I will tell you this, at holiday events, our household is there's never a dull moment. There's always lots of kids running around. I genuinely feel like my family had all of these amazing hard values that were instilled in me, like work hard, help those who can't help themselves, be useful, kill them with kindness. That was a phrase that I heard almost every day in my household. Don't cause a scene, be humble, keep your problems very private, and don't draw attention to yourself. So some of those things that I learned growing up, I definitely think catapulted me into the hardworking person that I think and hope that I am. But some of the things definitely planted seeds in my head that maybe didn't help me later on, and we'll talk about that in a second. In my early adulthood, I really feel like I floundered a little bit. I think because I had so many adult siblings, I think I lost myself in their lives because I was always involved with my sisters and my brothers and their kids, and I really didn't know who I was as a young adult. So you can see here, I was a correctional officer for 3 years in a medium security male prison. And for those of you who know me now, they're like, what happened? But I just feel like I didn't know who I was, and it was an easy job that paid well, and I didn't know any better. And it's a great job for a lot of people, but at the time I was like 20 years old and a correctional officer. Like that was kind of crazy, right? And I also went to multiple colleges with multiple different degrees, and I moved around a lot. I was engaged twice. I mean, I was all over the place, you guys. And at some point, it's probably 2006, I'm in my mid-20s, and I seen a commercial, and I'm not joking. It was for Le Cordon Bleu. It was talking about being a pastry chef, and something just clicked. And I remember that day. I remember the exact commercial. because I never realized that you could combine art with food. The only exposure that I ever had to making desserts or seeing desserts made was just a local IGA. We always had our sheet cakes that were raspberry, almond, and with whipped cream frosting. Like, that's all that I knew that bakery people did. And I just didn't know. I was never exposed to it. So within 2 months, I'm in culinary school because I felt that pull so intensely, like this is what I'm supposed to be, laser focused. And I spent a couple years traveling. I was in New Mexico for a couple years. And then I moved to La Crosse. To be honest with you, it was because this engagement number 2 ended and I just needed, I needed a new scene. My best friend lived here, so I'm like, oh, come live with Rachel and spend some time with her. And then now I'm here permanently. I met my husband, Brian, and within a couple years of our marriage, Brian knew I wanted to be a foster parent. And we adopted our son Wyatt. So Wyatt came to us at 2 years old, or sorry, 2 months old. You can see he's up in the upper right-hand corner. Wyatt was born and with a mom who was taking heroin the whole time she was pregnant. He was also shaken. So when he came to us, he had multiple fractures. I picked him up from Rochester. It was a horrible situation. The week that I brought Wyatt home, I found out that I was pregnant. So it was like an instant family, instant babies all over the place. So our daughter Millie came a year later. And so picture this. Millie's 2 months old, Wyatt's a year and 2 months old because they're almost exactly 1 year apart. And I get a phone call from the Food Network. And they say, hey, do you want to be on a show? And I said, that's really scary. I also don't know, I'm not sleeping right now. Like, I have no clue what's day and what's night. And but we figured it out. And we even, Brian and I had these conversations like, well, is this really worth it? Is this, because the commitment to do a Food Network show is quite large. It depends on the show. The first show that I did was called Holiday Baking Championship. And I never watched the show before. I don't really watch Food Network. I still really don't. And I felt like, gosh, it was a 1 month commitment. Like, how do you leave a 2 month old? But my family pooled together and we got a schedule going, and it's a benefit to having a large family. It's lots of hands to help. And we made it happen. And so I left to leave. This specific show was in New Orleans, which has kind of surprised me. And when you do a Food Network show, they film it about 6 months out. So it's in the middle of summer right now. It's dead heat and it's a Christmas show. And in the middle of New Orleans, which is wicked hot. And I had one of the best experiences of my entire life. So this show airs 2 months out of the year. So it's November into December. It's a full season. So you're on for 8 to 9 episodes. And this specific show I loved because it was a lot of small plates. And I will be the first to tell you that I was definitely not the best baker there at all. If anything, I was middle of the pack. But there was one gentleman, Josh, who was my teammate, and he told me, Jen, you don't have to be the best. You just don't have to be the worst every week. So that was really great advice. And it worked because I was definitely middle of the pack. When you're a pastry chef, there's different types of pastry chefs. So there are some that specialize in breads and croissants. And I feel like I'm a jack of all trades. I understand everything, but I really feel like I'm strong in cakes. And this show, it was so strategic and it worked really well for me because in the beginning it was all plated desserts and I was definitely middle of the pack. But then at the end, it was the big cakes. So I knew if I could just hold on till the end, and I held on by my teeth, you guys. Like, there was a couple of close calls, but the last challenge was a 3-tiered cake. And the other pastry chefs who excelled at plated desserts and who were very fancy, precise chocolatiers, they didn't have cake experience. So that was why I won the first show. The first show that I won was a $50,000 payout, which is pretty flippin' awesome. And when I got home, it really made me think like, okay, well, what do I want with my life? Because I've been given this beautiful gift. If you would have asked me at that exact moment before the show what I wanted, I would have said that, we did build out a bakery in my basement. So half of my basement is a full industrial kitchen. And I had that before I went into the show. And I just wanted to do like one wedding a week and raise some kids and be a foster mom. And that's a beautiful life, you know? But once I got back, it really made me think and made my husband and I just sit down and say, okay, let's map out what you want, because maybe you have a shot at getting what you want. And if there's anything that I can say to anybody right now, it's why do you need a Food Network show to do that? Like, why can't you just get a pen and paper and start mapping out what you want? Because I feel like, gosh, what a wasted life I would have had if I never had that belief in myself. So this spawned a bunch of shows, because once you're in the Food Network family, they kind of just loop you in for a half a second. So for the next 5 years, I did 5 televised shows on Food Network specifically. And I also was able to participate in several live shows that were held in Milwaukee and then on to Vegas. So if you look in the corner, that show was called Holiday Wars. I hated that show. They grouped you with 3 strangers, and they made you compete for a month. Well, we won. So we made it to the end, my team did. And if you make it to the end, you're there for a whole month. And that's a whole month of not sleeping. That's a whole month of being on top of 2 other people that are strangers to you that you have to work alongside of every day. And people got really ugly towards the end. Our team held it together. We had one little dispute, but we kept it private, because that's what I do. And but other teammates, like producers, had to break them up, because you're just tired and you're kind of getting delirious towards the end. One guy with an X-Acto knife at somebody. So I'm telling you this, but don't put this on social media, because I'm not supposed to talk about it. But you think it's this fun, happy holiday show, and it was pretty vicious. That show was a hard one on me. I'll talk more about that in a second, because when I came back from that show, I didn't feel right. I just felt really, my heart didn't feel right. Does that make sense? Like, it didn't feel like it was an honorable thing to do. The middle picture with the blue border on the bottom, that was one of my favorite shows. So this show, they brought in other past championship winners, and they heaped us together. This was just a 1-episode show, but myself and teammate Jordan Kolarski, we won, which is pretty awesome. That made me feel really good to win against other champions. The next one over, that show, that was a hard one. So this was in Canada, and the Food Network Canada, which is different than Food Network America, apparently. I didn't know that before. And Food Network Canada has a show called The Big Bake. And these cakes are like 5 tiers. They want mechanics, they want bells and whistles, they want light shows, they want fireworks, they want everything. And that team, I was invited to participate, so I was more of a helper on that team. I wasn't leading it. And it was a fun experience. That was what I remember about that show. It was during COVID, and because I had to go into a different country, I had to quarantine for 2 weeks. So I was in a hotel room for 2 weeks. And I was on a show for 1 day. So that was kind of unusual. This upper right-hand corner, that was a fun one. So I was in Milwaukee for a 2-day live competition. Myself and Jessica, who has worked for me for 7 years, another pastry chef. We did really well. We won that competition. And that one spawned a free ticket to go to Vegas to compete in another 2-day competition. So we did that. In Vegas, we definitely did not do that great. I think you learn as you do these shows that what judges are looking for. We made beautiful cakes, but they didn't score well because they didn't show enough technique. So like, you take those things away and you learn from them. The middle show, or the middle bottom picture, that's Jessica and Tracy. They still work for me. It's 2 of my best people in the whole world. I took them to Canada, back to the Big Bake. We definitely took last place in that competition. I think also you learn as you go, when you do a huge cake, you can't focus on small details. You have to go for the bang and the big stuff. And we focused on small details. So you learn, you move on, you take it in. But we did that show before I did Holiday Wars. And it's because I failed twice on a big cake show that the lessons that I learned, that's why I won the 3rd one, because then you start to build experience in those types of cakes. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, that's definitely one of my favorite things. Jessica and I went to Milwaukee a couple years ago. So those are, it's hard to tell from that picture, but I'm holding a vase with flowers that's all totally edible. And Jessica's holding a pineapple, and I took second place, Jessica took first place. So we were really proud of ourselves that day. So all of this was going on. Most of these shows were going on as I'm building a retail location downtown. The retail location, was obviously the dream for me, and that at the time, the end game. The retail location, when I look at these pictures, I think, God, that was a lot of work. And I also think I needed to learn a lot about myself in that year. I went from having 2 employees in my basement, from having 20 employees downtown. And it was a lot. It was a lot to shift from. And also you have to think, like, I wasn't intentionally thinking I was gonna go downtown right away. I was thinking I was gonna raise babies downstairs, but I think we felt, and pressure is not the right word. I wanted the downtown shop. I want the downtown shop. But I think we moved really fast because I felt like I'm only gonna be cool for a hot minute on the news, and you gotta strike while the iron's hot. So we pushed faster than probably what I was really ready for. And it's not that I'm not proud of all the hard work that went into that, but when I look at that picture in that year, I think, God, I just wasn't quite ready. You know, like I wish I would have given myself 1 more year. So if there's any advice that I have for business owners, like, you don't have to push so fast. Like, you can take your time and really get in there when you're fully ready. Okay. Inside growth. I wanted to share this because I want you to know how hard it is sometimes to be a small business owner or just a woman trying to prove herself in this industry. So these are actual things that people have told me. From a previous job from here in town, you are lucky you're getting health benefits because you're a woman and it costs our company more to give you health benefits. That was after I got hired at a local place. A lacrosse zoning public image or public zoning permit. So I had to get a permit when I had the basement bakery. I was told in front of a panel of people that I liked her better before she started talking. Can you imagine? But I didn't say anything because you keep quiet and you be kind, you know? In an email, this is somebody probably the first 6 months of me opening the downtown location. I called today to see what desserts and pastries we have available, and I was only given a list of 3 cakes to purchase. You may have a lot of notoriety right now from that TV show, but that won't last forever. You need to consider doing business for the community you are in. This is not New York or LA, where people want a bakery that simply sells only 3 cakes. Even for those cities, that would be ludicrous. And then I also think to myself, God, who has time to write that kind of an email to somebody? Jesus, okay. And then from a staff member, your business is never going to make it. And then this one I put in for chuckles because this really did happen to me. I'm too embarrassed to ask this, but I've always wanted somebody to throw pies at my naked body. Could I pay for your staff to throw pies at me? So I just wanted to share that. I did for that once. After laughing and saving that email, because it's funny to bring that one out every once in a while. I did call the non-emergency number on this gentleman just to maybe he's a creeper and they should know. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you say to that? That was a really weird phone call to call the police on. What's that?
What
I know, my husband said, well, for $20, I'll do just about anything. So that was like, okay, Brian, calm down. That's how desperate times, right? I share this because I want to let you know that, I genuinely feel like I didn't have a strong business sense in the beginning of my business. I really didn't. I really don't. That's not fair. I didn't back then. I wanted to tell you the people that have made a huge difference, and the amount of time and energy I've spent in just taking a step back, being reflective, and really being honest with myself and saying, okay, Jen, what do you need to learn to get to the next step? So these are people that have really helped me along the way. So in the bottom left-hand corner, Terry Crolius, who is one of my favorite people in the whole world. When I first she was my banker when I first started. She's since retired. She held my hand and helped me. We're not wealthy people, and I had to get an SBA loan. And just the time it takes to do those types of loans, it's very intensive. And she just really did such a wonderful job. Angie Jones, she's with EWH. She works in Onalaska. When I first started, after we got acquainted, she would drive from her house to from Alaska to my house in Stoddard, sit at me at a table with my kids running around and talk about how to do accounting well. And just baby steps, like, what do you have to do? What do you have to learn? Who does that, you know? The Small Business Center at UWL, huge resource, and I exploited them so much. Good thing I gave them lots of desserts, because I just felt like I was taking advantage of them, but that's what they're there for. RAH, I think just more than anything, she's been a great source of inspiration for me. She sponsors my Rotary dues. She's been a great, she just wants to help me and get me to the next level, and she wants me to meet as many people as possible. And it's nice when you have people that believe in you and keep you pushing along. Denise Keenan is up in the upper right-hand corner. So when I came back from that one show and my heart felt clenched, I had a panic attack when I got back from that show. And I think it was just me not sleeping, and it was just too much. And I felt like I just needed to have somebody help me breathe. And Denise is my breathing lady. So for a year straight, I meet with her once a week. And Denise is a very intuitive type person. She does Reiki, she does regression therapy. She did it all. She did everything that she knew to throw at me. But it was really good for me to take a step back and to really think, like, why do I feel this way? Why did I feel like I couldn't speak up for myself in that show? Why do I respond back to people? Why do I not respond back to people when they say certain things to me? And it was really helpful for me to understand how my upbringing, how it was deeply in me, how I talk and how I speak. And I think, yes, I have passion for my business. Yes, I'm every day learning to be a better business owner every single day. But it's hard when you have these things that don't serve your business, because me not being able to speak up for myself or let my staff walk all over me, that stuff doesn't serve me. And it certainly doesn't serve where I want to go in the future. So just having that time, this is probably 2 or 3 years ago now, to have that time to reflect and really think about why I do things the way I do was very helpful. And then there's Melissa Klein. She works right on Main Street. If you don't know Melissa, she is a business coach, but she's also an HR specialist. So for me to have somebody in my back pocket who can help me, I've hired her twice now for my business, where she can come in, she helps me with my HR, she cleans up things, tells me what to do with my business. She's had many seminars and business coaching sessions with my staff to build up their development, but then also with me, and really trying to think about how do I have a secure and safe place for my staff where they have clear expectations, so I'm not feeling like they're not doing their job the way they're supposed to be doing. And it's been life-changing to have somebody tell you and put a roadmap in front of you how to be a great boss. You know, and I think I'm getting close. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm really trying. And Melissa's been a great asset, and I call her about once a week. And be like, what would you do in this situation? She's amazing. So it's okay to fail, and it's okay to change direction. If you know me, you'll know that I'll throw anything at a wall to see if it sticks. In my business, we've had a lot of different partnerships, and some have worked out fantastic, and some I'm glad we tried them, but it wasn't the best fit for either business for whatever reason. But I'm never going to feel guilty for trying, or I'm never going to feel guilty for trying something different. I like that part about myself, that I'm willing to try new things. When we first started, we were a cafe. I think the cafe, if I'm analyzing that deeply, probably failed for a couple different reasons. The first is that we opened the month that COVID shut down. So just think about that. So probably not the best timing to open a cafe. Maybe we didn't have the best chances in the get-go. But I also think, gosh, I genuinely thought when I first opened the bakery that I could do everything. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, because we've been open for 5 years now, I would have said, definitely I can do that. And now I'd say, let me evaluate where I'm at with my schedule, and I'll get back to you. The cafe, we were doing everything from scratch, making the croissants, the breads. But I think when you don't have the volume because of COVID, nobody was eating lunch. The menu just kept getting smaller and smaller. And then at a certain point, I realized that I really love doing cakes. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna always get pushed towards a cake. I'm gonna prioritize that higher than making a sandwich. And I'm so happy, you guys, that I got rid of the cafe. I give no idea. And really, it's opened up a brand new opportunity, which is Nom Sips and Eats. So if you guys haven't come to the store in the last 6 months, we've gone through some pretty big changes, and there've been great changes. Last year at exactly this time, things just fell into place. I was feeling really burnt out. It was a long holiday. I got super sick after Christmas, like wicked sick, like wasn't good for a whole month sick. And I just felt like I need to reevaluate something, like I'm working too hard. And this thought process came in, and this thought came into my mind, like, what happens if you just got rid of the cafe? And what if you could find somebody awesome? What happens if you could find the right person to come in there? And for me, I talked to 2 people. I talked to Downtown Main Street and I talked to Mario, because everybody knows Mario, and if he can connect to somebody, that'd be great. And within a day or 2, somebody said, oh, Sam just moved into town. You should go talk to Sam. So I think within 2 weeks, Sam was like, I think I could be the perfect fit for you. And I'm like, I think you could be the perfect fit for me too. It just fell into our laps. So Sam specializes in coffee, these acai bowls, and nutrient-dense food. What I like about her business is that it doesn't conflict with mine. She's not selling sweets, and her coffee complements my product. And my customers can come in and be exposed to her, and vice versa. And so far, it's going amazing. And what's even cooler, you guys, is that our situation. So she's a sub-leasee of myself, and I gave her a really good deal on rent. But in return, she has all of the upfront labor. So I reduced my labor, and I also increased my profitability because it's a lot more efficient with us working together. So in the end, it was just fantastic. And I think there's good opportunities that come when you decide to shift and you decide to see what's not working. One thing, there was one slide that's missing. Oh, and also, did you guys know I have treats? So you guys, before you leave, to make sure you. Where can you find my product? Well, we're right downtown, right down the street. We have a couple different places that are selling our product right now. The Grind in Holman is selling our product. It's a coffee shop. Buzzard Billy's, if you've been there in the last several years, we're on their dessert menu in a couple different places. We love them. What I am most sincerely excited about is that about a month and a half ago, I took over the pastries for all 5 local Mocha stores. And I'm really pumped because we're going to start advertising in a couple weeks. And for me, I think I would have never gotten that account if I would have still had my own cafe, because that would have been a conflict of interest. So like I think about these things like, God, like I think, you know, things are going good. And I'm really excited about it. Another thing that I'm incredibly excited about and what's next for myself. I've always wanted to go into the digital space, but I really feel like there's 1,000 bakers making really great videos online. And how would I do that differently, or what would that look like? So I've always taken a step back and thought, gosh, doesn't feel right. A couple years ago, I was approached by a company, and they are like, I think you'd be a great candidate. So they do subscription-based education series, and what it would look like is I would have 2 different forms of income. That's probably not the right word, but 2 different forms of being able to stream in money. One would be direct to customer. So if you want to learn how to make French macaroons, I can make a video. But the biggest point of sales would be direct to business. So I can make videos on how to train your staff. And they can be used in, I wish I had that service. I wish I could pay for a subscription base just to give a baseline, like that first 25% on how to train somebody, like baseline bakery etiquette and skill sets. So we just put money down this week on our website, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to be doing a GoFundMe to ask for the additional like 10 grand that we'll need to see through the project. But I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to go into that space. I think with the bakery, I'm finally at a place where I can take a step back and maybe not be there for 2 to 3 days a week, and then focus on the next project, which it'll be my next focus. Okay, that is my talk for tonight. You guys have any questions at all?
I got one.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what you made, like the winning cakes, like your first ones? I think that was, it was the 2, or you know what I mean? Can you explain some of those?
Yeah.
That you made?
the finale show cake was a 3-tiered cake. Every team had to do something from the song, The 12 Days of Christmas, and so my line was it 6 geese a laying, 8 geese a laying? 8 geese a laying, 6, what is it? What's the number?
5,
7? Well, I had to make geese, I had to make a geese cake.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of it, you guys. They told us, this is also something not to put on social media. They told us about the challenge the night before, just so we could prepare ourselves. So that whole night in the hotel room, I had the whole cake mapped out, and I had like cutouts of newspapers that would, just trying to figure out the flow and what would look the best. And I really didn't sleep that night, but it worked to my benefit because I felt like I came in super prepared for that show. The one thing that I learned about the Food Network is when you are doing those types of shows, you really shouldn't do things that you don't know how to do. And that sounds basic, but you'd be surprised. Or just, I really tried to show my heritage, like where I was from. And if I use cranberries, Wisconsin is the leading producer of cranberries. I really tried to pump up where I was from and be proud of who I am. Okay. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, how do you get new ideas? And what's your favorite thing there?
My favorite thing to make is the next thing I haven't made, because I get bored with things pretty quickly. So I love the development stage, and I love making the recipe cards, and then I love handing it off and then going to the next thing. But if I'm being super if I had to pick one thing, just make chocolate cake. Come on, like flourless chocolate cake, like the most boring classic dessert. But those are the things that I go back to day in and day out that I never get sick of. Did I answer that question in completion? Okay, awesome.
So 6 geese a laying, 7 swans swimming.
Thank you very much.
Do you watch the show, Is It Cake?
I have watched that show. I would love to be on that show. I would. I have applied to a couple shows since then. I think I maxed out on Food Network. I have a feeling that they want new people in there because the first 5 shows I did with Food Network, I didn't have to call anybody. It just kind of fell into my lap. But I've applied, I think 3 times and I haven't even gotten a call back. So I think they must have a cap. I'm not cool anymore.
So you have to have a ton of pressure on you, like you're making cakes or delicacies for, some people's biggest day of their life. Have you ever had any traumatic?
Oh, yeah.
Is there one that?
Don't tell that, Sammy, just don't.
Right, I know, don't tell people your horror stories. This is probably, I'm 2 years out of culinary school. My first small business I had in Stanley, Wisconsin was called Something Sweet by Jenny. And it was remember those topsy-turvy cakes? Do you remember those, the wonky ones? Oh, I'm so glad they don't make those anymore because they're gravity defying by nature, right? So I built this 6-tiered, and I would never sell a 6-tiered wonky cake knowing what I know now, but I was young and very dumb. And I sold this cake, and it was at, in Eau Claire, there's an event, it's the only nice, well, there's more now, but at the time, what's that place called? Anyway, very fancy wedding venue. And the band is warming up when I drop off, and the floor is like this. Okay, so think about that. I've got a 6-tiered cake that's defying gravity and it's shaking. And also at the time, I didn't realize how important it was to refrigerate cakes while you transport. So I've got 45 minutes if the cake is in warm weather. Anyway, I got a call an hour later being like, tier number 4 is tilting. And by the time I got there back, the groomsmen had lifted up the cake and taken out that tier and dropped it back down. That one made me really sad. Another one that makes me sad. So it was the most expensive order of my entire career. This happened a couple years ago. And it was not my fault at all, but this was a very expensive wedding and they built up a custom floor. It's all about the floor, apparently. They built up this custom floor in a tent. And then the wedding planner bought in, it was very pretty. It was one of those mirrored tables, but it was pretty small. And it was another 5-tiered cake, tall, and it had an illusion stand that you could see through. Actually, it's in that book somewhere. I'm pretty sure it is. It's maybe like celestial titled or something. Anyway, I'll find it for you. I'll show you. But that table was flimsy and the floor was flimsy. So when we were walking past the cake after I built it, the top tier is going like this. So I know I built the cake super strong. I wasn't worried that the cake was gonna go anywhere, but I think the perception of it as a customer or like as a client or a guest walking by, they'd be like, oh my God, the cake is gonna tip over. Nope, it was white. Or maybe it was like Harvest Moon. Is it called Harvest Moon? Anyway, so I called the wedding planner, but she was very busy. And I'm like, look, like, this is before the guests came in. I'm like, I think we need to drop the illusion tier because it's wobbling at the top. And she told me no. She told me that that's what the client wanted and I'm like, okay, like, I feel confident the cake is gonna hold. But I think the perception is wrong and I just disagree with you, but we're gonna go with, you're the wedding planner, we're gonna go with what you say. So we, did you find the picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, that's the one, yep. So they had the picture with the cake, but by the time the guests came in, everybody was really drunk. And they had me pull the cake right before the guests came into the tent because they were worried that somebody would knock into it and it would fall. But that was a beautiful cake and I was really proud of it. And then the client came up to me that night. They actually pulled me aside and they said, we know that this is not your fault. We know that it's the floor and the table and thank you for doing everything. So like, I didn't feel bad, but it makes you feel bad when you make something that you think is art and then it just didn't kind of get to where you wanted it to go.
Did you take your call to the Cordon Bleu or did you go somewhere else?
I went to the Cordon Bleu. Was that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say this, if anybody's thinking about going to culinary school, my strong suggestion would be to not go to culinary school. It's just, I think around 40 to 50 grand for me to go. And when you go to culinary school and you get out, it's a minimum wage job. Like, so like this, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
Which one did you go to?
I went to one of the cities. Yeah. And, I felt, if anybody asks me advice on this, I'll say, just go to the best place you can get your hands on within the area that you, so go to the cities and walk in there to the nicest place you can find and say, I will work for you for free for a month. Because if you're any good, they're gonna hire you. And getting experience from somebody who has a name or you get a lot of exposure is just as good. As long as you put the time in, it's just as good as a degree and then it'll save you a lot of money.
Do you have any advice? Yeah, I don't mind cooking because I can kind of usually save it if it's, I can add or subtract little things. But with baking and pastry, it just seems like it's so exacting and I'm just intimidated and I end up failing it just feels like it's a failure waiting to happen. I got to the point where I just can't do it. I'm in awe of you because I don't have any courage anymore to even do it. I stick with soups and casserole.
It's gonna be okay. You know, you have to do. Once I get my digital stuff going, you just watch my videos and you'll be just fine. All right.
Get up, game.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Stay up there. It was really good timing. Stay up there for 40 minutes.
Jen, I just wanted to say on behalf of our club, we're so grateful to have you here, sharing your story. I mean, so much that we've seen, those of us who have watched the Food Network for a number of years and are blessed to have you in our community here, but also seeing the behind the scenes, the growth, the development, and we're really excited for what you have next to come. We'll keep watching. So thank you.
All right, so that was the magic of John Barney. So hope you all enjoyed that. And I picked this quote for you to think about because I kind of think it relates to what she talked about, that everything we do opens another opportunity for someone somewhere. And that was a few years ago for the Rotary theme, but I just kind of want to take you to take that with you this week and just kind of think about what doors might open by inviting someone to Rotary or joining a new club or not a different club, but like knitting club or something. But just see what you can go and do this year that's different. So with that, let's do the 5-way test of all the things we think, say, and do. With that, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in February.
Yeah, I think I have. I guess I'll put it. It says 10.
I gotta give this to my parents. I feel like
As long as you're. We did it. Yeah.